All right, guys, welcome back. Let's get straight to Leviticus. This book was written by Moses. The last book was about Moses. I was excited about this until I kind of peeked ahead. It looks like it's a bunch of rules. So, this this next couple videos may be a little hard to stick with. I do apologize. I will skip things that I do think are stupid. And what I mean by that is I don't mean that I think they're stupid. I think that like when the goal is to appreciate the narrative and the story that the Bible has to tell, when that's your goal, instructions on how Jewish people should worship 1500 years before Christ is born, they are not, in line with that goal. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by stupid. So anyway, let's get into it. Leviticus, written in 1444 by Big Daddy Momo. Leviticus 1. The Lord called to Moses from the tabernacle, and he said to him, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you present an animal as an offering, you may take it from your herd of cattle or your flock, blah, blah, blah. If the animal you present, I shouldn't be blah, blah, blah already. I could just tell. If the animal you present as a burnt offering is from a herd, it must be a male. Bring it to the entrance, lay your hand on the animal's head." Dang it. Then slaughter the young bull the Lord in the Lord's presence, and Aaron's sons, the priests, will present the animal's blood by splattering it into all sides of the altar. So basically, destroy this animal and spray its blood everywhere. They're gonna arrange pieces, head and fat on the wood. We're just kind of rolling here. If the animal you present as a burnt offering is from a flock, it may be either. What's the difference? So basically, what we're doing right now is we're highlighting flocks and herds. You tell me that's not stupid. If the animal you present as a burnt offering is in the blah 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 blah. Cut the animal into pieces. The priest will arrange the pieces. So basically, just disembowel this creature. If you present a bird as an offering, choose either a turtle dove or a young pigeon. Take the bird that was offered, wring off its head, burn it on the altar. But first, of course, you must drain the blood against the side of the altar, the bloody altar. The priest must also remove the crop and its feathers, throw them in the ashes on the side. Then, grasping the bird by its wings, tear the bird open. Brother, it's a special gift. Pleasing aroma to the Lord. So basically, God's crazy. Procedures for the grain offering. When you present grain as an offering to the Lord, the offering must consist of choice flour. You are to pour olive oil on it, frankincense, and bring it to Aaron's sons. This is so stupid. The priest will scoop out a handful of the flour, moistened with the oil. Together, all the frankincense and burnt the rest. If your offering is a grain offering baked in an oven, it must be made of a choice flour. Basically, God is Gordon Ramsay now. He was freaking the fava beans guy. What's that serial killer? That fava, whoever that guy in the last chapter. In this chapter, he's freaking Gordon, whatever the hell that chef's name is. Okay, if you present the grain offering, I'm sorry, Lord. Procedures for the peace offering. If you present an animal from the herd as a peace offering, maybe a male or a female, but it can't have any defects, lay your hands on the animal's head and slaughter it at the entrance of the tabernacle. And then the priests are going to splatter its blood all over back to murder. 2 kidneys and fat, loins, blah, blah, blah. This is almost too graphic to even read on YouTube. If you present a sheep as your offering, lay your hand on its head, slaughter it in front of the tabernacle. Look, I'm not slaughtering anything, okay? I'm not even stepping on a spider if I can help it. I'm not removing the kidneys. Yeah. Permanent law must be wow. Okay. How long is this? I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry we're rolling through this. I want this to be a long form reading, but come on. Okay, procedures for the sin offering. This is how you deal with those who sin unintentionally by doing anything that violates one of the. Okay, so we could call this maybe like a venial sin. This is exactly, I think, what a venial sin is. Who sin unintentionally. So we're making a distinction right off the bat. Leviticus 4. This is awesome for people who think that there's no difference between sins. I haven't even read what's to come next, so I very well could be jumping the gun here. But if the high priest sins, bringing guilt upon the entire community, he must give a sin offering for the sin he has committed. He must present to the Lord. The priest will put some of the blood Remove all the fat, includes internal organs. You must take whatever the high meat. Ashes dumped. Community. The high priest will take some of the bull's blood, dip the finger in it. Entrance to the purified. Sin for the entire. If the offering is this offering is for the sin of the entire. If any of the common people sin by violating one of the Lord's commands, but they don't realize it, they are still guilty. When they become aware of their sin, they must bring as an offering for their sin as a female goat with no defects. That's a lot of goats, dude. Priest will dip his finger in the blood. Pour out the rest of the blood. I mean, this is just graphic. If you bring a sheep, so basically, if you're gonna anyway, Leviticus 5. Sin requiring it. If you are called to testify about something that you have seen or that you know about, it is sinful to refuse to testify. You'll be punished for your sin. Interesting. Let's see how this kind of aligns with the bearing false witness stuff. Or suppose you unknowingly touch something that is ceremonially clean, such as the carcass of an unclean animal. When you realize what you've done, you must admit your defilement, your guilt. This is true as a wild domestic animal. They had domestic animals, and they had domestic animals, and they were able to do this to the other animals. Sociopaths. They are, I can't say that word, but When you become aware of your guilt in any of these ways, you must confess your sin. Then you must confess your sin. Confess. Okay, suppose you make a foolish vow, whether its purpose is good or bad. You realize it's foolish. You must admit your guilt. When you become aware of your guilt, you must confess your sin. Then you must bring the Lord. So you have to confess and then do something. I guess the argument against this would be like, oh, that's why Jesus died for our sins. You don't have to do that anymore. Fair argument. Still interesting. Okay. If you cannot afford to bring 2 turtle doves, you may bring 2 quarts of choice flour. I mean, bro, you would be more likely. It's so expensive to sin. Jesus. Who can afford to sin? You got to, take out a loan, which, how many shekels is a. Whatever. If one of you commits a sin by unintentionally defiling the Lord's sacred property, you must bring a guilt offering to the Lord. The offering must be your own ram with no defects. You may buy one of equal value with silver. And there must be, I guess they're really good at raising animals. Okay. Suppose you sin by violating one of the Lord's commands, even if you're unaware of what you have done, you are guilty for a sin for a guilt offering. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that was gory, expensive, and boring. I'm sorry. I will keep trying, and we will hopefully soon get back to narrative stuff, but it won't be anytime soon. So, woohoo!